Welcome to Owner Insights, the podcast that uncovers stories about businesses and their owners. I'm James Orchard, Managing Director of the Crew Harris Orchard. In each episode, I sit down with a business owner to hear their stories. We discuss things like why they started their business, what was their motivation, the mistakes they've made, the lessons they've learned, keys to growth, and what they do differently. These aren't how-to guides or do-as-I-say tips, just real conversations between two business people. Join us as we explore what it takes to become a truly great business. Matt MacMahon, welcome to Owner Insights.
Thank you, James. Thanks for having me. I've really enjoyed your podcast up till now, so it's lovely to be here.
Wow, well, you're the perfect guest already.
Yes.
I'm really interested in your story because it's quite unique to some of the other guests we've had in that you have a range of ownership experiences and you've also got a sporting story or a sporting history to throw into it as well. So you'll be able to tell us your thoughts on what it is to be successful in business and possibly in life. And if there are any common threads between those different experiences that you've had. Let's start, if you don't mind, with where you're at now and what you're doing right now.
Okay, two things, James. So I'm a non-executive director of Fulton Hogan, which is a big construction company, road maintenance company, Australia, New Zealand. Fulton Hogan have about 11,000 staff, turnover $7-8 billion, major business, 95 years old. So I'm doing that sort of 3 or 4 days a month, but predominantly I'm involved in a business, Roomia, self-storage, and Storage Investments Australia. And we're a fund manager, a property developer, and a self-storage operator. So I say that we've got 3 streams for our business: funds management, capital up front, property developer, demographics, finding sites, getting approvals, building, and then grabbing that new building and running a self-storage business on it. So we've got about 35 staff and growing pretty quickly. Best way to describe it, 13 sites operational with another 9 locked in somewhere in development.
Right.
Yes.
So that is quite a developing business then. How long has Roomia been around for?
Roomia is quite new, James. So I may as well go back.
Yep.
So there's 5 directors. There's gentlemen Contregarchis, Kevin McGuinness, David O'Sullivan and Peter Lepus. We all have different backgrounds, different skill sets. But the 5 of us bought a property in East Avenue, Beverley in 2011.
Yep. So, sorry, how did you know these?
So Dave O'Sullivan was the common thread.
Yep.
I've been friends with David for a long time, coached his kids tennis, knocked about. He was a co-founder of Built Environs, which a lot of your listeners would know. Really entrepreneurial. Should get him on this podcast. And Dave had been in New Zealand and to a self-storage conference because that's how Dave thinks, and came back and said, I think this is worth a go.
Right.
I was a common thread to Dave, so was Kevin, and somehow we all... And so we bought this property in Beverley, about 10,000 square metres with 2 big warehouses. That was an Australia Post distribution centre.
Yeah. So hang on. You had a bit of spare money sitting around from something else, which we'll get to.
We'll get to, So I was lucky enough to have some capital.
Okay, available. And these 4 had a bit of capital as well, obviously.
But, but we did, and we threw some capital into this.
Yep.
And we Australia Post rationalised into one of the warehouses, and we fitted one out with storage, like lots of little shapes and sizes sheds. And we threw the keys to a company called Storage King to run it under management.
Right.
So we all did our day jobs.
Yep.
And we had this passive investment in East Avenue, Beverley.
Yep.
And hopefully Storage King would fill it up for us. So slowly but surely they did. And we kicked Australia Post out of the second warehouse and fitted that out.
Okay.
Did it again.
Yeah.
And then over the course of the next sort of 5 or 6 years, which I'm sure we'll get in a bit more detail, we developed quite a few, 7 or 8 stores, all run under Storage King.
Mm-hmm.
But Roomia was formed because Storage King came to us with some pretty onerous licensee conditions that we didn't like.
Yep.
Put us in a bit of a position, and it was mainly around first and last rights and all different things. Put us in a position, what do we do? A lot easier having someone else run them, no staff, no marketing. But we made, at the time, a bold step to go, let's invent our own brand.
Mm-hmm.
And 3.5 years ago, Roomia was formed, and there's 10 Roomias out and about in Australia now, soon to be 24 in the next 2 years.
Wow. Can we just go back to 2011? So here's 5 blokes looking for something to do with their money, go and buy these things in Beverley. What was it? Did you do research as to the storage market? How did you know this was going to work? Was it a fluke? How'd you make it work? How did it sound so easy?
Yeah, probably all of the above. We liked the property because it's surrounded by housing. Mm-hmm. So we thought, here's this big warehouse. If this doesn't work, you'd like to think we could do a resi development.
Okay, so you had a fallback position.
We massively had a fallback position.
Yeah.
And that's been a common thing, James, of our journey with storage is, there's always a fallback position.
Yeah.
We'd design these things so we could turn them into a big warehouse if storage didn't work. Ironically now, we're so convinced in the sector and the demographics and the tailwinds that that's all gone. We design and build these things purely for storage now.
So the model's proven.
Yep.
But back then, there were still significant competitors. You Store It, Storage King. Yep. There were others. I can't remember what they're called. But a really competitive market, isn't it?
Yeah. Again, we just learnt so much. And that's the thing with business, I suppose. We didn't know a lot then, and we had plan B.
Yeah.
We thought this is worth a go.
Yeah.
Probably not much more than that, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But we had a clear plan B. But now, there are a lot of competitors, but, the demographics and the research we do before we buy something now, when we put our foot on a block of land now, we're very confident that it'll work because of supply, demand and population growth and what's in that population catchment. So
you had the security of the Storage King brand, which is reasonably strong.
Yeah, 200. They got 200 around Australia, so big marketing spend.
Yeah. And I guess you paid them a percentage of the turnover.
We did.
Yep. Talk us through the decision to break away from that security blanket and go to your own brand.
Yeah, it's really hard. And kudos, we've got a lot of our own investment in this operation, but so have our investors. We've got some, a few really supportive investors. So, we had to think about the banks, the investors, ourselves. What if this doesn't? What if people do the marketing spend? We're never going to match Storage King. What if it doesn't work? But we spoke to the banks. We showed them the plan. We did risk assessments. This is what we're going to do if it doesn't, if we don't get the leads, if the phone doesn't ring. This is how we think it'll work. We spoke to our investors and they were really supportive, James. So they could see that we didn't take it lightly. We did a lot of research on the brands, the colour, where there were gaps.
So did you employ an external marketing firm?
We did, thankfully. Certainly not my strength. In fact, I'm embarrassed to tell you what we could have called it if I had my choice, so I won't even tell you that. But we did. And we had a brief and we thought there was a gap in the market. And our brand, it was around empathy, a bit more, ironically, it might not surprise you, but the female in a relationship would a lot of the time make the decision to store goods, not the male. Yeah. And a lot of the other brands were very masculine, like Storage King. Kennards is a name. Yeah. National, it's just a name, so we tried to see, we did a lot of research. Yeah. And it was a really good learning and a really good exercise for us. And I'm really proud of what we've got,
Yeah.
and I think we've got a platform now that we can really grow.
Yeah. So that's really interesting that the gap you saw was one of getting into the mind of the prospective customer.
Yeah, and a different making the exercise. No one necessarily wants to store, James. It's a grudge purchase generally, but being really empathetic. Like that's probably the number one word we tell our store managers. Sorry you have to move, or sorry you got kicked out of that rental, or sorry how do we're going to help you? We're going to make your life so easy. And a lot of the other names, are very much about it's just a name, So we're trying to see that gap, and I think it's been good.
Yeah. So can you just describe the business model to us?
Sure.
A bit, and what your role is at the moment with growing the business.
Yeah, okay. So the 5 directors are we've all muddled around. There's 2 accountants. Con was heavily involved in KPMG. Kevin, CFO for various property developments and big construction firms. Dave, vertical building. Me, horizontal civil.
Yeah. And
Peter's an architect.
Yeah.
And so it's quite a good mix.
Yeah.
So then when I go to the model, raising money, and because it's very capital intensive, land and building.
Because you've got to buy the land.
Got to buy the land and build the building, and it's.
So can I ask what's your average spend on a site?
Look, eastern states now, James, we're in the 20s. So land and build, low 20s, hopefully. That sort of number.
So you need to raise for the equity piece.
Probably 11.
Yeah,
we can. The banks,
and then you go to the banks.
Then we go to the banks, and the banks had to get their head around it, and they couldn't because we don't have a secure tenant.
Yep.
They've now got a lot of confidence in our model because we've done it 13 times, and so we've got a lot of support from CBA and Bank SA now.
Yep.
So we can leverage off that equity. So then there's that bit, and then there's the land. So supply and demand, working out demographics, where are there gaps in the market. We're very eastern states focused, where the population growth is most and land is scarce, but very targeted. And we'll have we might have 20 sites come across our desk, and then poor old Peter gets it thrown to him, and he'll work out setbacks and draw up, and can we get the right amount of square metres we need on this land? That's step A. If it gets through that hurdle, we then do feasibilities. Land is X, building is Y. We know what that's going to cost now. At 80% full with storage, we know the yield. It'll give a return of X or Y or more, hopefully. The returns we've promised our investors or more. Gets through that hurdle, we'll go and put our foot and buy it, plan it, DA, draw it all up, then build it. And now once it's built, we throw the keys to Roomia ourselves, and we'll go and run it. So my role specifically in the last few years has been to build Roomia itself. So I hired 2 people.
So they work full-time now?
Work full-time. We've got 25 staff in Roomia now.
Yeah.
But we hired 2 people.
All based in Adelaide?
No. So wherever our stores are as well, obviously. So Melbourne and Sydney.
Okay, so you got someone in each of the 13 sites?
1.5 person each site.
Okay, yep.
And 3 years ago, Truganina was our first one, West Melbourne. So every 5 years, the Storage King licence comes up for renewal. So instead of renewing it, we're saying, can we have the keys back, please?
Okay. We
then paint them our colour green.
Yep.
Change of shirts, change of HR policy, change of software, and we go and employ people and take it over. So our first one, we had a marketing manager, Kath, who's still with us, doing a great job, and an operations manager who had some experience with the software. Yeah, it's quite tricky software. And we went and opened Truganina, the 3 of us, and bit of the blind leading the blind, but we did it, and now we're 10 in, and
So have you had any of those 13 where you thought occupancy would be X and it's turned out it hasn't been quite as good as you thought it would be, and any reasons why?
Generally, it's been the other way, if I'm really honest. We've been surprised in the uptake, so we've been pleasantly surprised. So the FISOs...
Wow,
it's a really
business.
good problem, James.
Yeah.
We've had a few slow and steady.
Yeah. So, sorry, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
What's the difference between those that have been,
Yeah.
belters and those that haven't gone as well?
There's demand there, James. So...
because people have got so much stuff and they're moving into smaller houses.
Lots of tailwinds. Yeah. It's becoming more and more accustomed. People use it.
Yeah.
So the demand's there. So it's really, we've had a store, probably the best example of slow and steady. We've got a store in Sunshine in Victoria. Mm-hmm. It's been really good, just slow, steady growth, but lots of competition in the area. And, so then you've got a choice. Do you want to grow it quickly with a pretty low yield, or do you want to go slow and steady? And, you've almost got that. So you've got they're your only levers, but it's good to have those levers. That's the one. And we've had a go at a regional location at Albury, and that's probably been our hardest store. Yeah. So we won't be rushing back. That was a bit of an experiment, if I'm really honest.
Yeah, sure.
And we did that separate to the funds management business.
Yeah.
That's been a good learning. It hasn't gone badly, but nothing like a capital city growth area. Yeah.
So it sounds like you're still in early stages in some regards, because the directors are heavily involved in, even though they're non-executive directors, they're actually heavily involved in the day-to-day stuff. Is that right?
Would have been right until about 2 months ago, when we started a structure. We appointed a CEO.
Okay.
We had 5 of us coming in. Now we've got about 35 staff, and it's just a bit confusing. We're all equal pegging.
Yeah.
So now we've I've heard one of your guests talk about getting better people than you around you. We're at that stage.
Yeah.
We've got our life savings invested, so we're going to stay very close to it.
Yes.
But we're at a scale now, James. We've got some structure. Yeah. Reporting lines. Yeah. I've now got.
So have you now got regular board meetings?
We do.
CEOs attending.
Committees.
Okay. So you've moved beyond SME land,
yes, we
where owners call the shots and everyone just does what they say.
That's it.
To really you're corporatising.
We are, and it's been great to get to where we are. We could do anything from any one of the directors could run a store to help a project management to anything. Yeah. Just how you have to muddle along to start a business.
Yeah.
But we're in a position now where we can go that next step.
Yeah. So that would come at a cost.
Yep.
So I'm guessing that means that profits are sort of leveling. What are your plans for the next 3 years in terms of growth, and how do you deal with those who have put the money in and repaying them, or do they convert it to equity? How does that all work?
Yeah, great question. So as we sit today, we've got about 450 million of funds under management in the business. Mm-hmm. When we develop this extra 9 and trade them up, that'll be about 750 million. We're going to go out for a capital raise, which will be co-investors again early next year to go again, sort of probably go out and try and raise another 50 million. So that'll, it's another sort of 4 or 5 stores. But then it's around the investors, those early investors. We've got a lot of what we call mature stores now, James. So they're 85% full, 95% full, good cash flow businesses. We could either put that all together. We could float the whole thing. We don't. I think there's all sorts of varied permutations. Probably the most popular one at the moment would be we could offer a different style of investor, what we call a yield fund for these mature stores.
Yep.
Offer a 7-8% yield.
Yep.
So sell them down.
Yep.
That will enable us as early investors with our initial seed investors
get your money back.
Get your money back, and we'd probably keep developing. So that could just be a perpetual business.
Yeah.
Keep as they get full.
Yeah.
Yield fund potentially, and just keep it moving and moving and moving.
Yeah.
So that's an option.
Yeah.
There's a few different options, but that's an option.
Sounds like you got a long a lot of growth to go before you would look at cashing in, though.
What's best for the investors, James? That's always the question. And if it meant there was an offer that was too good. I mean, we all really love it and love the thought of building a business, and we're all at an age where we want to keep growing a business. But if something came that was too good to be true, you got to have the investor hat on first. It's not just about us.
Yeah.
So
you got other people's money.
Other people's money, James, and we treat that incredibly seriously.
Yeah.
And and like I say, we're significant co-investors, which makes it easy to treat it very seriously.
Yeah.
But the reason we've had success is because we've had very happy investors, and that's enabled us to keep the confidence of people wanting to keep investing with us. So,
look, it's for those who are listening, go on to the Roomia website and have a look at it. It's a great brand and it looks fantastic. And I think importantly, it looks completely different to what your competitors look like.
Yeah.
And I can see how the empathy piece has played out with the branding for sure. Just before we go back to a starting point, are there any tricks with getting on with four others who you're not related to? Because a lot of professional services businesses are made up of 4, 5, 10, 15, 20 individuals, and keeping the peace is often a lot more difficult than you think. Any learnings or lessons around how you five have clearly managed to work together so well?
It's such a good question because it was my biggest apprehension. And I love all four, they're great. I'm very lucky. And the reason it was my biggest apprehension, we'll talk about PMP, where I had a partner for 15 years who I consider like an uncle. But after 15 years, Dave didn't want to see me for a while and I didn't want to see Dave for, it was just intense.
Yeah, sure.
And I think you mature, James, and you realise when you're on a good thing, disagreements are healthy, right? And we've had plenty, but you'd never let it ruin the show. You get to a maturity where back in the day, in the early 30s, you'd be like, bugger, he's a pain. He's black, I want white. This isn't going to work. You just get to a point in life where you go, there's how many times do you get a chance to grow something? I think, and everyone's got the same view, you'd never let a personality get in the way. And we have disagreements around the board table, but we're very respectful, which is healthy, very respectful, understand we've got different strengths and weaknesses. So it's been way better than I ever could have imagined, and I'm very lucky to have four partners that we've been able to.
And it sounds like you all recognise that each one pulls their weight in a different way. No one's bludging off the other.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done.
It is. We did things very professionally though. We've got everything written, buy-sell agreements, if anyone wanted to get everything. So all those learnings you learn all your life.
Yeah.
All every scenario is documented. There's, shareholder agreements there, you name it.
And what about just devising those? That would have been a bit tricky.
Yeah. Well, again, you talk about strengths and weaknesses. Con was chairman of KPMG, dealing with clients. That's all they did. And so he had a lot of experience. So again, you just draw on all those different resources. And was used to, that sort of environment.
Yeah. Let's go back. Well done on Roomia. It's a sensational story. And as usual, great Adelaide story that's just completely flying under the radar because most of your stores are interstate. Let's go back to let's go back to school.
Right. This could be a problem.
Okay, let's move on. You move out of school. You're a good tennis player. So let's talk about your tennis a little bit and your ambitions to be a professional tennis player.
Sure. So rightly or wrongly, probably wrongly, left school at 17, end of year 11, and took off to Europe. I went, so Pat Raft with his brother Jeff and I took off, went with a bunch of other Queensland lads, and for the older people, recognise a few. There was Kratzmans and there was a few different names. We all went over to
So how'd you know these blokes?
Through Pat. Pat,
but how'd you know Pat?
State teams and nationals. So every under 14 state teams, South Australia play Queensland.
Okay.
I might play Pat.
So you grew up playing against each other?
Playing and we were great friends. There was three of us, another guy called Bill in Melbourne. There was a tournament in Melbourne. Me and Pat would stay at Bill's house. Yep. Tournament in Queensland. Bill and I would stay at Pat's house. Tournament in Adelaide, vice versa. So the three of us knocked around all through juniors.
Yep.
Had a lot of fun. And then we took off and played what they call satellite tennis tournaments in Spain, and then went around and kicked around France, where there was a lot of smaller money tournaments in country towns, and you can generally get paid every week, not much, but you can make your way around. And we kicked around France and ran around Europe, essentially trying to pay our way.
So, but you're trying to become professional tennis players.
Yeah.
And then were you ranked at this point?
Yeah, so not at this point. So we did that. That was really fun, and I think I mentioned yesterday, I think the best analogy I can give you is backpackers carrying tennis rackets around France. We were sort of sleeping in clubhouses or ATM machines and jumping on trains and not paying and
worrying about money.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
massively.
Yeah.
And
so just tell us about your financial arrangement with Pat and Jeff. Rafter,
yeah. So it was really good.
So there was the three of you.
There was three of us travelling around, and we decided early on we'd pool the money. So if one did well, we'd all do well. And we thought that was fair at the time. I wish we had kept on for another 8-10 years, but we did that, and it was just good fun. And sometimes you get paid cash. And there was one, you might touch on it on why did Pat kick on and Jeff and I didn't. But there was one tournament near Bordeaux, and it was a big money tournament, way bigger than we normally played, and Pat had a real run, and he hadn't been contributing much until then.
Really?
No. And anyway, he made a lot, I can't remember the number, but it was a lot of money. It's probably like 20 grand in today's money.
Yeah, right. And
I remember feeling guilty, and he said, no, deal's a deal, and we split it three ways and kept travelling around, and it was probably a sign of things to come for Pat. But it was, it was a really great experience. It was really hard, James. I super hard actually. Like we
were young, away from your parents,
laughed a lot, and playing. I have this memory early on of playing this Argentinian guy who'd been playing French money tournaments for like 10 years. Yeah. And his young wife and two young kids are on the sidelines watching, and I'm like this 17, and it just struck me that, this $800, I need it, but shit, he really needs it.
Yeah.
And you sort of grow up no umpires, so you don't want to hit it close to the line because it's out.
Right.
Dog eat dog. It's really you sort of grow up pretty quickly, I think.
Is that why you didn't make it? Because you wanted the Argentinian bloke to be able to feed his kids?
No, not at all. I just wasn't good enough.
No, but I mean, it's interesting that 1 minute you and a bloke who won 2 US Opens and was a finalist at Wimbledon and was the world number one for a period of time, I think a week, but it doesn't matter, he did it.
Yeah, that's right.
How can you be equal 1 minute and then he goes on to such incredible feats?
Good question, isn't it? I don't know if I can answer that, James. Only that he was a late developer, Pat, and he grew. We're pretty both scrawny kids. Still pretty scrawny, but
he's not.
No, he's not. He's a big boy, and so that helps. Like a good big man will normally beat a good small man. If you
good footy analogy.
Yeah, it is, and I think that's what happened. And then he just grew into this great athlete, and I think this common denominator when I've seen Pat and even Leighton, other tennis players make it. I remember being in Cincinnati or Indianapolis at this big tournament where we tried to play qualies, and Lendl and Sampras, and everyone's in the change rooms, and I was sort of a little bit, there's a little bit in awe, whereas Pat never he couldn't care less.
Yeah, right.
And I think that
so he wasn't impressionable,
not at all. And I think I'd get on the court with one of those guys, and it'd be like an honour.
Yeah.
Whereas the guys that I know have made it, it'd be like, they've got 2 arms and 2 legs and I can beat them. That not being arrogant, but not putting them on a pedestal because they're right. They're not. They're nothing. They've had incredible results, but they're still just a human being at the other end.
Yeah.
Whereas I was a bit. I was probably not in that mindset.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting observation. So mindset. So how long were you on the road for?
About 3.5 years, James.
Mm-hmm.
Battled around and
so by this time you're 20 odd.
20, yeah.
And ranked?
Yeah. I've had 30 points, and that gets me into sort of main draw of satellites. So I'm going to get paid every week, not much.
Yeah.
And can have a go at bigger tournaments in the qualifying, but that's always a risk because if you don't qualify, you don't get paid and you don't get any points. So big risk, so it's easier. So that's a hard bit.
Yeah.
I was certainly a journeyman, James. It was an amazing experience. When I look back, a lot of fun, very hard. But, then my father got sick and the whole family came home to Adelaide and that's where that stopped, essentially.
Right. So it was your dad getting sick that put an end to it, or was that mercy in some ways? Because you must have been thinking, God, am I ever going to make it? 100%. And by the way, how's Pat Rafter going and his brother going by this point?
Great question. So Pat at this point is probably 100 in the world, something like that.
Okay, so he's going well.
He's made a big step.
Yeah.
He's made the big step.
Yeah.
So making money, travelling around.
Are you still sharing money at this point?
I can send an IOU. So that's where he's at. And then I think, it's probably 4 or 5 years later he hit his straps. But to answer your question, of course it was on my mind, and I think I was coming to the realisation that the dream, which is really hard as a sports person because you work so hard, and I worked incredibly hard, and to come to the realisation actually you're just not quite good enough, and you just got to come to that realisation. Yeah. So Dad getting sick was certainly a catalyst, and to answer your question, yes, I was thinking about it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dad's crook. What's Dad doing? So you come home to be with him, obviously, but there was something else, wasn't there?
Yeah, so Dad got given 6 months to live, just out the blue, terrible prognosis. And he had a business where he was the South Australian distributor for some road maintenance products. So think of a bucket of cold mix asphalt, and I know his biggest client was SA Water. So every time they lift a water chamber, all those on the road, there's a tiny little ring around it where they got to patch it with asphalt.
Yep.
So they would buy $80,000 worth of buckets of Dad to patch these, and councils and car parks and you name it, golf courses. Everyone's got a bit of car park hanging off it.
Yeah.
And he on-sold those products, he by that time had a partner called David Gillespie. And David was the national manager of Sammy who made these products. That makes sense. And David was technically very sound.
Yep.
A little bit of a conflict for David because he was, but anyway, we might park that. Yeah. But that's where it was. And David was about 16 years younger than Dad, so probably a bit more ambitious in that respect. And Dave, ironically, I'm about 16 years younger than David. Fast forwarding a bit, when Dad died, I joined David in the business, essentially.
So your dad rings up and says, can you come home, or I'm crook.
Yep.
You come home. Do you go straight into the business?
No, but we're fortunate to have that time where Dad showed me around a bit. And probably 2 months in, I did.
So do you have siblings?
Yeah, I've got 2 older sisters who just had zero interest in,
Funny that, asphalt.
Yeah, that's right. Not a glamorous. And that's right. And I was fortunate enough to, Dad could show me around, introduce me to some clients, and David, pivotal person in my life and journey, who actually was technically very good around this stuff, and obviously had to be patient with someone who just ran around the world chasing a yellow ball, who didn't know anything about anything.
How'd you find that?
Really hard, but it's amazing, when you get thrown in the deep end, and we were really small, we just hands on deck.
What were you what was the business turning over?
I think in the hundreds, so
really small.
Really small, yeah. And maybe 4, including Dad and maybe 4 staff.
Okay.
And but it was a good little business, and so that was I sort of knocked on doors and repped these products for 6 or 8 months, and then we started contracting. Yeah.
So your dad passes away.
Yep.
Where do you go from there personally and professionally?
Yeah, I think it was probably, I'm 21 and
been away for 3.5 years.
I feel like I'm 35, James.
Yeah.
Because now I'm a partner of this business, which, as we grow, you're putting your house on the line, all that sort of stuff. And or anything you got on the line. And I've sort of fended around tried to fend around. So I felt like I grew up quickly, if I'm honest, so, and just that responsibility, when most of my mates are studying, and which is great, and having a bit of fun on the side, I was sort of fending. So, and Dad, I was really fortunate that Dad, I suppose, had left me a start of some sorts, because, the stereotypical thing for an ex-tennis player is to coach, and I'd seen enough I'd hit enough balls to probably not want to do that. Yeah. So I felt like probably older than my years, James.
Did that help take the business where it ended up going, and tell us where it ended up going?
Yeah, so rightly or wrongly, Dave and I sort of thought we sort of grew it pretty quickly, and we went from material sales to contractors. So the best way to describe that, rather than sell the bucket of cold mix, we would go and dig the hole out and patch it ourselves and charge. And so we developed crews, and then rather than sell the squiggly lines, the rubber that make all the squiggly lines on the road, we would do the crack sealing ourselves.
So it's quite a big change to the business model.
That's David. So David had the experience, and he knew there was a gap, and he knew.
So you were clear about what David did and what you did.
Yeah, and David was the boss at this point, because he had all the experience, James.
Yep.
And again, a massive mentor in my journey. And then, so then one thing led to another. So we'd go from patches, and then we thought, well, why don't we do car parks? And then you'd buy some equipment, and we'd do car parks. And then why aren't we doing council roads? And then we'd get bigger and just do that. And why not freeways? And then sort of there was no plan. We were just running fast and growing. And, we made a few really bad mistakes early on. It was, we built a hockey field. We thought my tennis background, it made sense to build tennis courts. So as part of, similar to what we were doing. So we got in tennis courts along with everything else, and that was okay. But then that morphed into, we thought we'd give running tracks. The Olympics were coming up in Sydney, and hockey fields a go, and we lost a lot of money. And stick to your knitting, Dave. When it comes to bituminous servicing and civil, we had a leader in Australia, and we decided to go and build. But
it sounds like that was your way. Is that you did try and do different things. So it's logical, isn't it, that some of them aren't going to work?
Yeah, probably. And hindsight's a beautiful thing. You're right. It could have been a great success, and it wasn't. And we were so small. I look back now, like it was probably a $2 million job to build this hockey. I mean, we would have done a tender, James, on the table. I'd over dinner and chucked it in. You know, in my world.
You and David?
Yeah. Like in my world now,
yeah,
a big tender, there's 10 sets of eyes and it's double, triple tested. And, so we're dealing with our own money and we're gambling, and I think it was just the scale we went was a mistake. So that made for a few really hard years and which were the best learning years of your life. But we were profitable, but we were undercapitalised and never had enough, day to day. It was a battle.
So how old are you at this point, roughly?
Late 20s.
What's P&P turning over?
20 million.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe not quite that much. Maybe 15 million at this stage.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many people are you employing?
40.
And you're making money?
On paper, we're looking at the bottom line and we're the number that on the balance, the P&L says we're making money, but we've never got any money.
Yeah, right. Because you said undercapitalised. You just want to explain what that means?
So I suppose a business like P&P, seasonal, lots of capital required, heavy equipment, expensive. So I suppose it's the ebbs and flows of business. We were the end of the ecosystem, really. The big players game, Boral and CSR, they're all big players. We were sort of the crumbs in between, and
they're merciless when it comes to paying.
So we might do a job for a builder because there's a car park out the front of it, and we'd be 90 days, 120 days. Our biggest
so all your profit, sorry to interrupt,
no problem.
All your profit is going into your debtors, and your stock,
and our
so
stock.
you've got a balance sheet that's got these big. Well, if you're turning over 30 million or whatever it is, you got big numbers in stock and debtors, and that's why you get no cash.
That's it. And our biggest input was bitumen, which is a refined product from the refinery. So Shell was our biggest supplier. They were 21 days. So massive, sort of out of whack. It rains for 2 weeks. We've still got 40 mouths to feed.
Yeah,
you can catch that up, but so it was just this treadmill.
So you need a big bank balance as well to pay people for those periods when it's raining.
All of that. So it was just this massive treadmill, very stressful.
Yeah.
And it was. I got to be honest, it wasn't fun at all. None of that was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you are growing.
We are. Yeah.
Where did it get to? And then take us to the sale.
Yeah. So we kept growing, and Dave and I, it was just energy, James. So we would, talk about the road, carve out the roads, and we'd have a phone call. We'd go, God, we're now buying 30,000 tonnes of asphalt from Boral. We need an asphalt plant. So Dave would be like, yep, I'll build an asphalt plant. So that would be the planning. So we'd go and build an asphalt plant, and then we'd make 50,000 tonne of asphalt, of which you need 50,000 tonnes of quarry stone to make asphalt. Like, well, shit, we need a quarry. So let's go and
so the banks would be involved here.
Yeah, we did it, but we did it on a shoestring, and Dave again was amazing at that. And
all your profits are going back into
100%.
asphalt plants and all that sort of stuff,
and big equipment, and we just kept growing, and then we went to the Northern Territory and cracked, and that was really helped our seasonality, James. So that was probably in the last 4 years. So we would then just. That was a really hard parochial market to crack. But in June, when it started raining, we'd wheel all our mobile equipment and as many staff as wanted to go to Darwin, and we'd contract up there and just keep pushing. And that was good. And we did a lot of island work, community work that no one else wanted to do. And that was profitable, hard but profitable. And we just kept going. And then 2007, the Northern Expressway came out for tender, which was the biggest roading job in South Australia at the time, about $500 million job. And there were 3 shortlisted, and one was a company called Fulton Hogan, which none of us have ever heard of. The other 2 were very familiar. And P&P, Dave and I were pricing inputs into the big players into this job. The quarry was in striking distance of the job.
So Fulton Hogan is tendering to the SA government. You're tendering to Fulton Hogan.
Yep, and the other 2 people tendering as well. Yep. So we're tendering all 3 players.
Yep.
Thinking that Fulton Hogan, who are these Kiwis that no one had heard of? They won't get it. So we didn't pay them much attention. We'll probably, but then we just kept coming and talking. And then I suppose there was this one sentence I'll never forget. The manager at the time said, "We want to talk to you not just about this job, but about a peg in South Australia. We want a permanent presence." So then we were tendering madly and trying to run this business, and a lot of weeks Dave and I would go and have dinner with a gentleman called Denny Jack on Unley Road, and we'd try and negotiate what PMP was worth. And we were probably lucky with timing. Like it would have been hard for Fulton Hogan to do that job from scratch, not having a single body, in South Australia or anything.
Yep.
And to their credit, they'd done it before in Melbourne. In the space of the month, they acquired us. They'd won the job. So we were turning over about 35 million at the time, about 80 staff. And they won $500 million worth of work up the road from our depot. So came in with a bang, essentially, and got everyone by surprise. And it was Dave and I were very happy sellers and very happy with the result. And it was changed our lives, to be honest. It was a big relief.
How did it change your life?
Well, we got some money, James. So for a start, we got
all that money you ploughed into stock and equipment and all of that, you got all that back. You got all the profits that you'd ploughed back in. You actually were able to liquidate.
We were, and we'd built a really, to build an asphalt plant from scratch and all these things for a big player. You could see it was valuable to somebody, so we could extract value. So it changed our lives in that way.
Was there any thoughts of, if they think it's this valuable, maybe we should hang on and we can extract that?
A little bit, but it was the right time. And I think for David and I as well, David was now about my age, he's in his 50s. And just the demands, James. It was it was 15 hours a day.
But you're mid-30s.
I'm mid-30s,
yeah. You got a long way to go.
I do. And that was my mindset. So Dave sort of slowed down, which was great to see.
Yeah.
And I think I mentioned yesterday to you, it was a Friday, it settled. On Monday, turned the P&P cap to a Fulton Hogan cap, and I managed what was my business for Fulton Hogan. And not much change, but the scale. So all of a sudden this big job up the road, and to put in perspective, P&P did about 60,000 tonnes of asphalt a year. The Northern Expressway needed 480,000 tonnes to be supplied and laid in 2 years on top of our 60,000 tonnes. So watching this blue machine come in with lots of new gear, it was a great experience, and nailed it. The Northern Expressway was a great result for the government, a great result for Fulton Hogan, and it was that the plan worked.
But you've got all this money in the bank. Why do you?
Well, I don't know about that much, James, but because I've got some capital. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So, but how did you? Of course, money's relative and all of that. But how do you maintain your hunger when you go from it being yours to you're now working for someone?
Because I don't think you change. And I think all those things, and you talk about common threads, that sporting, having to be hungry, and then 15 years just being hungry to win a job and get paid. You can't just flick the switch and be somebody different.
So is there a conscious discipline about that mindset? Because I can see I've seen a lot of people get lazy when the check comes in.
But not at 35. And I think, and I sort of knew there's no point in stopping. This is what I know now. I've done it 15, 16 years and was actually...
And by this time you're enjoying
I know the industry. The industry technically. I know all the clients. I'm respecting the industry. I'm there, it's hard to... And as you know, when you do stop, you lose that kudos and knowledge pretty quickly. So, I sort of took the same mindset to Fulton Hogan. I'd know, and also I had this sort of pride that I wanted that transaction to succeed for them.
Okay.
Because they're great people.
Yeah.
So I had this thing that they'd invested in us.
Yeah.
I was pretty determined to make sure that they helped them see through what they'd invested.
Yeah.
So that was my mindset.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
How long did that go for? Because you're not working for them now. You're now a director. Talk us through that step.
You
worked for Fulton Hogan for a long period of time.
14, 15 years.
Yeah.
So I had various roles. So that first one was just changing the shirt.
Yeah.
And was state manager of Fulton Hogan, which was PMP.
Yeah.
Interesting thing, 2 years later, Fulton Hogan bought Pioneer Road Services, which was a major acquisition. Heidelberg, GFC, Heidelberg, who are the biggest materials company in the world, were in big trouble. And CEO in Germany committed suicide. It was awful, but they needed to liquidate some of the crown jewels. And once again, these understated Kiwis came in and went in the space of a month, bought this major Australian road maintenance contracting business with 35 asphalt plants and 1,000 staff. So little old Fulton Hogan, who no one really knew, then had to integrate what we called the green machine of Pioneer into the blue machine of Fulton Hogan, and that was sort of 2 years after the purchase. So that was really interesting. Some egos and some to deal with, and we're having to rationalise. You don't need 2 state managers in South Australia. You don't need lots of things.
Yep.
Working through all of that.
Yep.
And that took years to bed down. That was probably a 5-year bed down, if I'm really honest.
Wow. Yeah.
And then I went to Auckland and the family, Em and the 3 kids, Seb, Archie and Rose. We took off to Auckland.
Yep.
And I was regional manager of their Auckland business for a few, which was my favourite job I had. I thought I knew a lot then, and I didn't know as much as I thought. Different topography, different specifications, different... and that was the first time I saw a genuinely great business. It rains a lot in Auckland, but lots of annuity contracts, road maintenance. If it rains, you check drains. If it's snowing, you clear the snow. And I was used to losing money every time it rained, so it really opened my eyes to what Fulton Hogan Australia could look like.
Yeah.
And then I came back as CEO of Fulton Hogan Australia Infrastructure Services, which is a big business that turns over about 1.8 billion, had about 1,800 staff. So that was a great opportunity for me. And FIFOing out of Melbourne, COVID came, I could do it out of Adelaide. While all that's going on, by this time now, the storage is starting to get traction. And the other directors,
you got a bit on.
The other directors are going, this is becoming a real thing now.
Yeah.
So I resigned 3.5, 4 years ago.
I got to pick you up on the line about this was the first truly great business I'd seen, because that's what this podcast is supposed to be about.
Yes.
Define that for me versus what you'd seen before and why they weren't.
Such a mature business, James. So you can see what intergenerational businesses. So now this business over there that I was lucky enough to manage for a while, irreplaceable assets. So the quarry near town. So, here's a fun fact. Every person in Adelaide needs about 9 or 10 tonne of rock every year. That's just what the population needs to live how we live. So
to drive on roads,
build footpaths and put in drainage systems and bricks and concrete.
That is a fun fact.
So we need 15 million tonne of rock just for an adult. So we've got the best one of that. We've got the road maintenance contracts, the big ones for 10 years running, and just to keep the traffic moving. So turnover never stopped. Lots of little divisions. We had.
So is the starting point having something that people really need?
Yes, I think so. An essential service essentially. And
not a lot of competition.
They're the big player. That was the other thing. I mean, it's a better. I don't think they'll mind me saying it's certainly not. It's a better market. Fulton Hogan in New Zealand are Woolworths in Australia.
Right. Okay.
Massive.
Yeah.
And but it was a real opener for me because I'd come from battling, hand and mouth crumbs, to being the main dominant player in town with these irreplaceable assets to draw on.
Yeah.
And but all of the basics, James, still very humble, hungry, good disciplines. Nothing had changed in that regard. Yeah. Just a great business.
Yeah. really interesting. So the size would have given you capability to do things that you just didn't have the capability of doing at PMP.
That's it.
Is there anything that stands out as being critical to the difference between being great and being not great?
I think, well, capital, no doubt. I mean, like I keep using that word under capital. We had a great business, and like I say, on paper, we were really good. We were never short of work, great clients, but having capital, having blood through the veins is really important. And maturity, James, I think you can't underestimate maturity. And even our storage, like those stores now in our storage business that are 5 years old, already they're quite hard to replace. And that when they're 5 years old, it means it's taken 7 years to get to that point, and you're not drawing anything out of it during that period. So, patient capital has been really a good lesson for me.
Yeah, patience,
Yeah.
So you've had an incredible journey. Not many people can call themselves a professional sports person, so that's
Well,
you're getting paid to pay.
Yeah.
That's professional. 3.5 years, not a bad stint. Dad passes away, unfortunately, when you're very young. Go into his small business, turn it into something quite big, then go into a corporate. Now you're basically fundraising for what is a substantial business, and really it sounds to me like the sky's the limit.
Yep.
What are the threads of success, and are there any meaningful relationships between being great at sport and being great in business?
Yeah, I'd say yes. So I remember reading this book about some CEO in America, and it struck a chord. He said, someone can get on ergo and do 5 minutes as hard as they can, throw up, and then 5 minutes later go and do it again, beat the score and throw up again. I want that person I reckon that, resilience, mental toughness. I think there's something to that, James, like in sport where you just put your mind and body through hell. And then in business, you put your mind through hell sometimes. But knowing that if you can just push, you've pushed your body and, through all sorts, there's something to that. The darkest days at PMP, you just get up and go, just going to give it my best. Or you can,
But are those traits, can you teach those traits? Can you, or are you born with them?
I think you can teach them. I mean, I think I think so. You can train. You just put yourself out of comfort zones. I think that's the thing, isn't it? That's something that's I think a common thing. I think having gone through, again, a quote, I remember Packer saying he wouldn't go into business with someone that either hasn't been broke or at least looked over the edge.
Right.
And I can relate to that. I think it's a really good, because you just know how to get through it. And
that's the old, you learn more from your mistakes than you do from your successes.
I think that's right, James. So I think that's something there. And I think that helped me with my Fulton Hogan journey, because I never lost that mindset in a big corporate. And, the families, I think, saw that and appreciated that I whatever it was I was running, I was going to run it like it was. So I never lost. So I think there is something along those two things that is possibly a common trait.
Yeah. There's a certain drive there as well. So often the challenge with people is, why would I do this? Why would I do the ergo for 5 minutes and throw up? Why would I bother doing that? Do you have an answer?
I think when you push yourself back, why do people climb Gossi Oscar? Why do people, something's there, you want the challenge and you do it, I think.
Not everyone does.
No, true. But a lot of people do. So I think it's that knowing what your body and mind, what you can push it through is a real thing. And maybe another one while I'm talking is not being afraid to lose, James. So on the tennis circuit, you lose every week.
Yeah.
Every single week.
Yeah.
Unless you win a tournament, which, isn't even the best.
Yeah.
So you put that in a business, you hate losing, but it's the reality of life. Now, to your point, at PMP when we did the hockey field, we lost. It was a shocker. But, you just the thing, isn't it? You just got to get on with it and move on. And most people are scared, don't try something, scared of, if you really boil it down, you don't do the marathon, or you don't because you're scared you won't finish, or you're scared.
So maybe that's the thing that we need to work on teaching people is it is okay to lose.
Of course it is.
In actual fact, it's good to lose
because
you work out why someone's better at tennis or why we got that tender wrong or whatever it is, and then you move from there.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
I mean,
and there's a certain humility involved in that as well.
Yeah, I think it is, because it's all, like to your point, it's all relative. Like my journey is all relative to someone else's. It's, someone else has had a bigger and better journey and someone else might not have, it's all, so there is definitely humility in it, I agree. Yeah.
Well, Matt, thanks for the chat. It's a really, really interesting story. I'm just fascinated by that sharing money with Pat Rafter thing. But so many lessons thereafter as well. And I really look forward to watching where Roomia goes.
Yeah, we're really excited, James.
Yeah, it looks like a really exciting business.
Yeah.
And you've got a great group there with that 5-person director group.
Yeah.
And I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
And maybe you can come back in a year or 2 or 10 when there's 200 stores around Australia.
Look forward to it. Let's hope so.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.